Building a NAS is exactly the same as building a PC. Same parts, same order, same screws. That's it. That's the whole secret. If someone's telling you that it's complicated, it's usually because they're trying to sell you something, like a pre-built box, a course, a subscription, etc. So today, I'm going to build one right in front of you, start to finish, and you'll see how easy it is for yourself. And quick heads up, if you've built a PC before, then you already have 99% of the skills that you need for this. So, let's get our parts ready. But before we start, two quick things that'll save you a headache. First, when you're building, get yourself a table, not the floor, definitely not the carpet. Carpet, as you already know, builds up static, and static is the one thing that can quietly kill a component before you've even switched it on yet. You don't need an anti-static wrist strap or anything fancy like that. Just touch something metal every now and then if you feel any bit of static on your parts, like a radiator or just the metal case itself, and you'll be good to go. And second is the motherboard box. A little life hack, don't throw it away because it's the perfect surface to build on initially. It's flat, it's clean, it's non-conductive. For myself, however, I have a non-conductive table that I'm going to use for that. If you're unsure about what your table's made of, then use the motherbox case. It's super handy to have. All right, let's open some parts. Start with the case before anything else. Take both side panels off, get your hands in there, have a feel of it, have a look around. You're getting a feel for two things here. First of all, where everything's going to live, where the motherboard sits, where the drive goes, where the power supply mounts, and where the cables are gonna run through, because most cases come with cables pre-attached to show you which direction that everything should kind of flow into. And while in there, look for a box of screws, such as these ones right here. Every case would come with them, might be like a few bags or a box or something like that. It'll be pretty obvious. So open them up, keep your mental note of what each one is, and set them aside and leave them organized, because searching for the right screw with a motherboard in one hand is genuinely annoying as you're trying to build something. And one thing to check before you go any further, the standoffs. These are little brass pillars that the motherboard screws into. They matter more than you think. They hold the board up off the metal case. If the board touches bare metal, you get a short and simply just won't boot up. Now, most cases come with them pre-installed, so just check yours. Just count them, make sure that they line up with the motherboard holes, and you're good to go. Now, the motherboard comes out onto its box. First thing is the CPU that we're gonna put in. This is the part people are the most nervous about, but it's one of the easiest, as long as you get one thing right. Look at the corner of your chip. There should be a small golden triangle. There is a M.2 marker on the socket line where the CPU goes. Just line those two up and it physically can't go wrong. Lift the socket lever, drop the CPU straight down, don't slide it, don't push it, and it should sit flat by itself. Gravity will do all the work here, so don't try and press too hard. Then close the lever, and this is when you should be pressing. It feels a bit wrong at first, there's a lot of resistance, and it might feel like it might break something. But I can reassure you that you're not. It's just a socket clamping down. Just push it through and you're finished. Next is the cooler. But one thing first, thermal paste. Check the bottom of your cooler before you buy anything else, because a lot of them come with thermal paste pre-applied if you're buying a brand new cooler. Mind it, it's that gray square that you see, and do not touch it. Naturally, your fingers have sweat, which can interfere with the conductivity. So if it's there, perfect, don't touch it. Just let it do its thing. If yours has it, you're done. Don't clean it off or add any more, just fit it in. But if yours doesn't, you might need to buy some. All you have to do is apply a small blob of paste about the size of a pea in the middle of the CPU. And that's it. You don't spread it. The pressure of the cooler when you're building it is gonna spread it for you. Now that that's out of the way, line the cooler over the mounting holes and tighten the screws in a crisscross pattern. Not one side fully down and then the other. A few turns on one, then the one diagonally opposite. That will keep the pressure even as you're building it. And don't forget the fan cable. It plugs into the header marked CPU_FAN. If you leave that unplugged, a lot of motherboards just refuse to boot up as your safety thing. Next, the M.2 drive, which is just the skinny SSD instead of the fat one. This is the fast stick of storage that almost all home NAS setups will be using. You see, all home NAS setups use three drives. A cheap bulky drive for your operating system, a fast M.2 SSD for your apps to run on, and a big chunky hard drive, usually between 2 to 10 terabytes, where all your main files like your movies, shows, your apps, etc. will be stored. Now for me, this SSD is where the apps are going to live. Unscrew the small screw at the far end of the slot, slide the drive in at a slight angle, then press it flat and put the screw back in. That's it. There's no cable, no power supply needs to be connected to it. It gets power and data through the slot itself, which is one of the reasons these are so nice to work with. Next up, Mr. RAM moves to the big leagues. RAM. I remember I built a PC in 2020 and my RAM costed me around £30–40. This same amount of RAM in 2026 costed me over £200. Damn, bro, inflation is kind of crazy. Basically, all I have to do with these is push the clips at the end of the slots open, then look at the stick. There's a notch caught into the gold contacts and it's off center. Line that up with the bump in the slot and it'll only go in one way around, so don't worry about putting it the wrong way. Then press down firmly, evenly with 2 thumbs at the same time, apply even pressure until the clips snap on and shut on their own. This is another one where the amount of force feels like too much, but trust me, it isn't. If it's not clicking, don't force it any harder. Pull it out, check the notch is the right way in, and try again, and focus on even pressure from both sides. And also a quick note, if you've been reading about DDR4 versus DDR5, they install exactly the same way, so don't worry about that too much. The only real difference is that the notch sits on a different spot depending on which DDR RAM you have, which just stops you from putting the wrong RAM in the wrong board. So if your RAM just doesn't line up, no matter what, check your pulse compatibility. It might be you have the wrong board with the wrong RAM. And also, if you've got 2 sticks and 4 slots, don't just fill the first 2. Check your motherboard manual. It'll tell you which pair to use. Usually slots 2 and 4 that get you dual channel, which the TLDR version, it gives you extra performance when you have dual channel without any extra cost or anything, so worth taking advantage of that. And that's the motherboard done. CPU, cooler, storage, memory, all of it done outside the case where you can actually see what you're doing. And now it goes into the case. If your case has a separate I/O shield, that thin metal rectangle with all the portholes, that clips onto the back of the case first before the motherboard from the inside. A lot of newer boards have it built in, so you might not have to worry about that, but just keep that order in mind. Then lower the board in, line up the ports with the shield, and line up the screw holes with the standoffs. Screw it down, but go gently, make it snug, not too tight. You're holding a circuit board here, not building a shed. Next, the second SSD. This one is for the operating system like I mentioned previously. This is a cheap little SATA drive that cost me like £20 at Amazon and is doing an easy job. So it doesn't need to be anything special, it just holds your OS and your OS is running 24/7, so it's not like you're gonna worry about like boot up speed or anything like that. It mounts wherever your case has a spot for it, a bracket, a tray. I got a friend who's left it hanging. I wouldn't recommend it, but his does run, so don't stress about it too much. There are going to be 2 cables that go into it, a thin data cable that runs to the motherboard into the drive, and then a power cable from the power supply that goes into the SSD, but we'll do that later once we install our power supply. Which, speaking of which, we're going to do right now. The power supply. This is the fiddliest part of the build, and how fiddly depends entirely on which one you bought. There are 2 kinds of power supplies. Modular, where you plug in only the cable you actually need, which is a blessing when it comes to cable management. And non-modular, where every cable is permanently attached, whether you're using it or not. It becomes a chaos inside the case and difficult to manage. Mine, sadly, is non-modular, which means I've got a bundle of cables I never use that I now have to hide or find a way to organize them. If you're still buying parts, you can stretch into a modular one, then do it. It makes this section so much easier, and the price point isn't that much difference. In my NAS case, the power supply sits in a cage at the bottom, so that comes out first, the power supply goes in, and the whole thing goes back as one piece. 2 things to get right. Cables pointing towards the motherboard, obviously, and the fan direction. This one depends on your case. Look at the floor underneath where the power supply sits. If there's a vent there with a dust filter, the fan faces down, so it pulls cool air from the outside. If there's no vent, then the fan usually faces up towards the case. Check yours before you screw it in, because turning it around afterwards means taking the whole thing out, unplugging it, which is a huge hassle. And now the power supply cables. There are 4 main ones that you really care about. The big one, the 24 pins with the big bunda, the giant fat one, that's the main motherboard supply that gives it power. It goes into the long connector on the right hand side of the board and only fits in one way and it clips in, so it's like almost no room for error there for you to go wrong. Then there's an 8-pin one that goes to the top corner of the board. This is the CPU power and it's separate from the big one. I'm going to say this clearly because it's the single most common reason a first build doesn't turn on, and I always get this question for some reason. You need to plug in both. People plug in the big 24 pin and think that they're done. They press the button and nothing turns on. It's almost always a cable missing, so check that thoroughly before trying to switch on your NAS. Then SATA power to your drives. The flat black connectors, and there'll be several on one cable so you can daisy chain them, and then the thin SATA data cables which run from each drive to the motherboard. So the drives get 2 cables each, a cable from the power supply to the drive to give it power, and then a cable from the actual drive to the motherboard so they can read that data. And speaking of which, the hard drive, the actual storage, the reason why we're actually building this thing. These slot into the drive bays, and depending on your case, there's either screws into a caddy or a tool-free tray, or it might be wall mounted. And take your time here, be gentle, because these are mechanical drives with moving parts inside, and they don't like being dropped. And then the exact same as before, a cable from the power supply to the drive to give it power, another cable from the motherboard into the drive so it can read its data. Okay, last annoying bit. These tiny cables here run from the front of your case, like the power button, a USB-C port, or stuff like that, the reset button, etc. They each plug into individual pins on the corner of the motherboard, and they are quite awkward to point out. They are small, they're almost always badly labeled, and there is no way to make this part enjoyable. Everyone hates it, but it's fine. For this, get your motherboard manual out. It'll have a diagram showing exactly which pin is which. Follow it and take your time. Use your phone torch if you need to, and you should be good to go. But the thing is, the power switch is the only one that actually matters for booting. The rest are kind of like extra ports that you probably have spares in the back of the case anyway. So just keep that in mind. And the last job is to tidy the cables. You can use pins, you can shop for cable management tools on Amazon. This is your own prerogative. I know people that leave them open. I personally like to organize them, but that's fully on you. But the main thing to keep in mind, depending on the size of the case, it might matter a lot because of airflow. Loose cables sitting in front of the fans can block air direction, and if your case is really small and cramped, that can overheat it. So if you have a big case with a lot of space, then it's not as important. So look at your case, make your own decision, and managing it is straightforward. Just line it through one straight line. You can use some pins, some brackets, some ties, and that'll help keep it organized. And then get your case panels, put them back on, and that's it. We're finished. Nice build. Give yourself a pat on the back. Well done. Then plug it in, hit the power button, and voila. What you're looking for are fans spin, lights come on, and you get something on the screen that your parts are also recognized on the BIOS menu. And if nothing happens at all, don't panic. 90% of the time, it's usually one of these 3 things. Either the 8-pin CPU cable I mentioned earlier, the power switch connector is on the wrong pins, or the RAM isn't quite clicked in. So in that case, just take it apart, check these things, troubleshoot them, and you'll find the issue pretty easily. And that's the build. No specialist tools, no specialist knowledge. It's literally a PC with a dedicated job and dedicated operating system that is in charge of storing stuff and sending that data to other devices. Now, my next video is going to be getting an operating system running on it and actually turning it into a functioning NAS. Setting up drives and shares, getting apps installed, etc. And if you're interested in that, like and subscribe with the bell on, and you'll be notified when I make that video. If you're watching this from a business, and if your team is paying a small fortune every single month to store files in someone else's cloud, this is the kind of thing I build and set up properly as well. So something you're keen on, link in the description as well to check out. But with that, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.